if you clicked on this video, I'm going to take a guess how you got here and probably say you got here from some sort of recommendation. And if that's the case, well, I'm here to help you. Because, believe me, I know how it feels. I know how it is when you are just, you know, watching videos. You watch like 200 videos. Not 200 videos. Okay, maybe that's a little much. But, you're watching one video and then it turns into like 5 videos and it turns into 10 videos. And something I do a lot too. So that's why I'm here to maybe fix it a little bit. Because I feel like especially afterwards it's always the worst. Because you do that and then like in the moment it feels fine. And then afterwards it just feels terrible. And it sucks. So I think like really like the main part, the main like problematic part, I would say, really just comes down to the like recommendations slash like infinite scroll kind of thing, and also like comments to an extent too, I feel. Because I feel like it just is a way where you can just keep going because there is no end. Like there used to be an end. I think even like way back in the day on YouTube, there used to be an end. It'd be like, okay, you you see maybe like 7 or 8 videos and then it's like you stop seeing recommendations after that, and now it's not a thing. And like I think there even used to be a thing where you couldn't see that many comments. You had to like click load more, kind of like I think like on Reddit sometimes there's like a really big thread. It'll like be like load more comments because eventually it like reaches an end, but there is no end really nowadays on YouTube and a lot of other social media, and that's by design because it keeps you there for longer. And so I feel like that is like the biggest time waster, because if there was a definite end, you'd be like, okay, whatever. But there is no definite end, and so you're just like, okay, well, I'll just keep going. And that's why a lot of modern social media stuff is so addictive and so kind of scary to an extent, really. And I mean, for me personally, right, even aside, like the YouTube recommendations is one thing, but it also is bad because I feel like comments, number one, they kind of like reinforce your ideas, right? Make you feel like are you are like in the right and you're like the majority. You're on the right side of history or some shit, right? And then it's also very easy for them to manipulate that sort of stuff and turn it into kind of like confirmation bias, I guess, to an extent, or something like that, where it's just you are seeing stuff that you already agree with, and so you're just like, yeah, and you think everybody agrees that way, and then you think everybody thinks that way, and it turns out that isn't a thing, you know? So, for me personally, I feel like the comments and the recommendations, those are the two biggest problems that I have when it comes to dealing with YouTube stuff. And I kind of had to like think a little bit in terms of YouTube, because I feel like I had to think about how important it really was to me. And it's like there are things that I think are less important. For example, entertainment. It's like, okay, this is entertaining. This is, cool to watch. But it doesn't really do that much for me other than just like kind of, be entertaining, I guess, for like a little bit. That's fine, right? But when it's like too much entertainment, where it's like you are watching this for like hours, and it's like, well, I just wasted my whole day. That's not great. But there's also the angle of like people that watch the news, as I would say. And the reason why I use quotations is because, let's be honest, it's not really the news. It's a guy spewing his opinions and trying to disguise it as news. And at least before, with the mainstream media, they at least kind of had to like have some air of professionalism. It's like, Like, we are unbiased and we are reporting and we are doing our best, you know? And it that wasn't really true to an extent, but now it's like, now that there's like independent media, you know, it's pretty much just a guy that's just spouting his own opinions and saying shit, and like half the time they're saying shit out of their ass, and it, like, people will still eat it up because, again, confirmation bias, right? And just kind of, you are cultivating an audience that already agrees with you, so therefore, you know, that's what they're gonna watch. That's what they want to watch. They want to watch stuff that they agree with, because if they watch, you know, if they're like some guy who's like a diehard conservative, right, who like believes in Christian values and shit, they're not gonna want to watch some guy who's like a communist that, you know, is like an atheist and like denies God and whatever the fuck, right? Or like on the flip side, right, if you're like some, you know, kind of like college liberal or whatever, you don't want to watch fucking, you know, Ben Shapiro sit there and talk about how college liberals, you know, they're snowflakes and whatever else, and like Israel is in the right when like they're probably, you know, pro-Palestinian, something like that. I'm not here to make the whole video political or anything, but just, I think the news stuff, I feel like people care about it a little too much, and it's like kind of the same thing with Twitter, I guess, to an extent, because people are like, well, I can't leave Twitter because I would miss all the news. And it's like, you're really not missing that much. And furthermore, a lot of like news stuff, right? If Ben Shapiro is making like videos about how like great the world is, you know, I feel like people will get tired of it. But because it's constant negativity, right? Or at least perceived negativity, and like there's always something to push back against, that is really what keeps people coming back, right? Because there's this constant culture war that they feel like they're fighting, when like in reality it's just kind of there to keep you coming back. And I feel like that really is like the key to a lot of like news stuff. It's constantly making you angry and making you stay on the platform for longer. And I think that that's not a good thing, you know? I think if that's what you're using YouTube a lot for, you should maybe reconsider that and think, maybe I'm getting a little too rage baited, maybe, to lack of a better word, right? I'm too much of a part of this rage machine where like I'm just getting angry all the time at like whatever fucking news, and I'm always perpetually annoyed and perpetually watching it still. I think that is something that I definitely would consider not great. And other than that, there are a lot of other things on YouTube, right? And I think particularly the two things I would say that are really good with YouTube are, number one, there's a lot of like educational and tutorial type of content out there that can give you a good idea of what to do, apart from, you know, just watching stuff for the sake of watching stuff, but instead, you know, you're watching stuff that is teaching you something or helping you learn something or helping you understand something better, you know? And that's the type of stuff that I think is actually very useful. But there's a small problem with that type of content, which is that it's on YouTube. And the thing is about YouTube, right, is that they know what you like. And not just they know you like watching educational content, but also they know other things that you like, right? So I know, for example, that maybe you like Minecraft content, let's just say. I don't know. That's just like evergreen, you know, it's like a constant thing. It's been on the platform for so many years. But let's say you like Minecraft content. Well, you might be watching like a coding tutorial, but then in the recommendations, there's going to be Minecraft content in there because they know you like Minecraft content. And if you see something and you click on it, well, then they got you. They got you back in the entertainment. Even when you were trying to learn, they got you back in the entertainment. And that, to me, is one of the biggest problems, I think, with the platform and trying to learn on it. Because even when you're trying to learn, you're still getting kind of pushed in certain ways. And that also applies to music as well, because I typically use YouTube a lot for music. I don't really use, a lot of people use like Spotify and whatever else, right? I don't really do that. I just I just pull up a YouTube video or I just have like a YouTube playlist, you know? And the thing is, right, similar to learning, you might be there for the music, but they do a lot of sneaky things to kind of get you to keep staying on the platform, potentially push you out from music and into something else, right? So if you don't have any like extensions or anything, sometimes it'll eventually pop up and it'll say like, are you still there? And you have to like click a thing that says like, yes, I'm here. And I get that to an extent because it's like you don't want random, inactive users that are like taking up shit tons of bandwidth for like days and days and days and weeks, right? Of just watching this video endlessly or something. So it makes sense. But I think it's also something that's done a little intentionally, or maybe like I don't want to say like cynically, but I can't really think of the right word. But they also kind of do it because then you got to go back to the page, you got to click OK, and that might get you to look at some recommendations or some comments or something and get you to stay on their platform for longer and potentially switch you over maybe from that music to Minecraft content or whatever the fuck, right? Whatever sort of entertainment. And that is really the key, is that they're kind of funneling you into something that is keeping you on the platform for longer. And that is my big problem that I have with YouTube. They want you to stay for as long as possible. And I guess, in a sense, I'm kind of contributing to that problem by making stuff. But I also feel like me making stuff, I'm just kind of throwing it out there in the void, and I'm not trying to get people to stay on the videos forever and ever and ever. Even if I'm making kind of longer stuff, I'm just kind of putting my thoughts out there and just trying to create stuff, So I feel like maybe I could be considered a little part of the problem, but I think it's also different because I'm not actively incentivized to keep you for as long as I can. I'm just doing what I want, I'm making my stuff the way I want to. But in terms of YouTube, they want you to stay for as long as possible because number one, it's getting them ad money. And even if it's not getting them ad money, it's getting them users that are on the platform for longer. And when they get to go to advertisers and say, hey, look at how long we have kept people on this platform. Look at how many watch hours we have and that sort of thing. Then, those advertisers would be like, damn, I guess we should pour more money into this. And that's, how YouTube stays afloat, in a sense. But it also sucks because, they're kind of milking people's time. And time is really valuable. You don't really think about it initially, like, especially when you're a kid. You don't fucking care about your time, like, whatever. But you realize eventually it's like time is super valuable. And we all have a limited amount of time. Money is like one thing. Like, yeah, we have a limited amount of money. But we all have a limited amount of time. Doesn't matter if you're Bill Gates. Doesn't matter if you're fucking, Chris Chan. We all have a limited amount of time. And if you don't spend that time well, that really sucks. And a lot of companies are seeking to take that time from you. And that's really a problem that I've had with YouTube. And it's made me think, maybe I should just delete YouTube. Maybe I should just never go on it again. And that's actually what I did for a little bit a couple months ago. I stopped using all social media for a week, including YouTube. And I didn't really know how it was going to go. And I ended up really liking it, but then I kind of ended up going back. And a lot of it is from stuff I said where, like, for example, you want to listen to music. Problem is, you listen to music, it's going to funnel you into, the stuff that you're trying to avoid a little bit. And that's the problem. And so I've thought about it a lot, right? Because it's like, I don't want to stop using it because it's like, there is valuable stuff. There is like ways to learn and like music to listen to. And so I've thought about it. And I feel like for most other things, I guess kind of like I alluded to with Twitter before, it's like, I mean, you could just delete it. You don't really need it. It's not really like that important in the way that, for example, if you use YouTube, it's like, well, that's like my music. That's how I learn things. Compared to Twitter, it's like, okay, Twitter is where I get angry and I get like news, and I just see a bunch of rage bait, and like half the time it's just fucking bots. So it's like, that's a little different. But in my opinion, I think for that stuff, it's easy to just delete it. But with the YouTube, it's so much harder because of that other aspect to it, where it's not just a way to be entertained. It's not just a way to be informed. It's a way, it is pretty much just a way of life, right? It can do anything for you. And that's a valuable resource, but also one that's very hard to just get rid of. And in a way, I would say it's almost irreplaceable, basically. You can't really find this anywhere else. I mean, like, technically, I guess there was, like, Vimeo and shit, but, like, not the same scale, not the same thing. So, but that leads me to what I think might be the solution to fixing YouTube for that sort of problem. And what my answer basically has come to that problem, right, is using a plugin, which I don't really like, or extensions, not plugin. What the hell? Plugin. I'm not really one to like use browser extensions much, and this video is not sponsored. You're just gonna put that out there. If they're sponsoring a channel with 16 subscribers, what are they doing, man? Like, they gotta have some crazy money at that point if they're sponsoring me. But I started using this browser extension called Enhancer for YouTube, and it's like a pretty popular extension. And I've been using it for like years, because when I switched over to, I think, like Firefox, I switched to Firefox, and I like disabled some like settings for, you know, like privacy stuff. And what happened is that my YouTube, every time, it would be at like 100% volume, and like my fucking ears would be shattered. And so I had to figure out, how do I fix this? And that was like the solution for me, because I could have it like set to a specific volume. So I'd set it to like 30% volume or 10% or whatever it is, right? And that was pretty useful. But I recently thought about it, and I was thinking, like, maybe I should find some way to like hide recommendations and hide comments and stuff like that to stop the infinite scrolling and the infinite watching, right? And that led me to remembering that I think there was some other options in YouTube Enhancer, or Enhancer for YouTube. And so I looked into it, and there was. And one thing I've been using for a while is converting shorts to like regular YouTube videos, which is like a godsend. I fucking hate just not being able to like control the volume, not being able to like view the video the way it should be, and like having to like watch a video that would be made for a phone on my PC. It sucks. And so converting the shorts is great. And you can also just hide shorts in general if you don't like short form content at all. Just bye-bye to that, right? But the main things that I really wanted to mention are that you can hide comments, which, I mean, like, I guess for certain people, maybe that's not something that they want. But if you're just infinite scrolling in the comments, and like, you know, maybe you're spending too much time in the comments, well, there you go. Turn off the comments. That was what I did. And I found myself trying to scroll a lot and then being like, oh, I can't do that. I can't scroll. There is no comments because I hid them. And what I would say is most important, hiding the recommendations, which kind of sucks in a sense, because you're basically killing visibility for smaller channels. But there are other ways to find smaller channels, right? Like, you can watch a video and somebody can be like, hey, I thought this channel was really good, and you should go check them out. But even apart from that, right, there are potential kind of ways to still see recommended stuff without having it kind of there all the time. So, if you go to YouTube homepage, you get recommended random stuff, right, that you would probably see in those recommendations anyway. And on top of that, what I actually found out recently when I was testing out this kind of theory of like turning off the recommendations, it still shows you some recommendations when the video like ends completely. It shows you like 3 recommendations. And I believe the 3rd recommendation is always like a smaller kind of channel or like something kind of different that's not like someone with an established audience, And so I think that's a pretty good way to do that. That's what I've been doing, and I feel like it has been really, really useful for me. At least personally, it's been really useful for me. I found myself like at times trying to scroll, and then I realize I can't, and I'm like, oh yeah. But I'm also like, that's a good thing. It's a good thing I can't scroll. So that's what I've been doing. I think it's been pretty good. And that's what I'm gonna recommend pretty much everybody do, to be honest, because I think it's actually very useful. Also, fucking my windshield is fogging up because I've been talking, so try to fix that. See how it goes. So anyways, as I was saying, before I got a little off track there, I guess to kind of end the video, I really just wanted to talk about something I'm also going to talk about in a future video when I make a video about, are games a waste of time? But I kind of want to go back to where I was at the start of the video, which was, I know you're wasting your time, and I want you to stop wasting your time. And how I'm going to stop you wasting your time is, I'm going to tell you after this video that's going to end very soon. But after this video, just go do something else that is a better way to use your time. And something I would say that I kind of want to do myself at some point is I want to, like, just write down a bunch of things I want to do and just have that list and, like, be able to look at it when I don't know what to do and just be like, okay, well, I could do that, right? Something along those lines. So I would say, spending time with people that you want to spend time with, or spending time honing a skill, improving your skills, whatever, right? Mastering a skill, or, chasing your dream or whatever, I don't know. But point is, just go do something else that's not endlessly watching videos, and also YouTube enhancer thingy, so that, number one, you just get less of an annoying experience, and also you get more, like, controls in the video too, so you can, like, they have a better loop thing, works better in the shitty YouTube one, because that thing, I swear, like, it loops a couple times and it, like, stops looping, and it's so stupid. I hate that, dude. I hate that. But yeah, I would just say do that. Oh my god, when did that happen? Oh man, it's like a really awkward lighting angle, I'm gonna be honest. So, but like, I gotta go to work soon, so I don't have time, so I'll just do that for now. I guess I'll just cover it. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I had to say. I would just say, if there's one takeaway, just try and value your time more and spend your time better than endlessly scrolling and watching YouTube videos, or God forbid, like TikTok or something. Just do something better with your life, and try not to stare at the sun, because the sun, turns out, it's pretty bright, I guess. So yeah, but I don't really know how I'm gonna end this, because I kind of have both arms, like, occupied here. But yeah, I guess that's it.